The Ontario housing market is doing something that most people aren't talking about right now. Home prices are still lower than they were a year ago, but that exact same time, inventory is shrinking, sales are increasing, and buyers are slowly starting to come back into the market. So what does that mean? Are we finally reaching the bottom of this housing correction? Are prices about to start climbing again? Or is there still another leg down before things recover? In today's video, we're breaking down exactly what's happening across the Ontario housing market heading into summer 2026. We'll look at Ontario as a whole, the GTA area, specifically Oakville, Burlington, and Hamilton. And by the end of this video, you'll have a much better understanding of where the opportunities are right now. Whether you're buying, selling, investing, or simply waiting on the sidelines. Before we jump into the numbers, here's something worth thinking about. If you've been waiting for a housing market to crash before buying a home, you might not like what I'm about to show you. Let's start with what's happening across the GTA. For the past 2 years, we've been hearing the same story over and over again. High interest rates, affordability challenges, buyers sitting on the sidelines, prices adjusting downward, but now we're starting to see a different trend emerge. Sales activity is beginning to increase while the number of new listings hitting the market is starting to decline. And that's important because housing prices are ultimately determined by one thing: supply and demand. When more buyers begin entering the market while fewer homes become available, the balance slowly starts shifting. Not overnight, not dramatically, but gradually. And that's exactly what we're beginning to see happen right now across many Ontario markets. If you're a buyer, this is arguably the best market environment we've seen in years. You still have negotiating power. Many homes are taking longer to sell than they did during the pandemic frenzy. Multiple offer situations aren't happening on every property anymore. Financing conditions are back, home inspections are back. Buyers can actually think before making one of the biggest financial decisions of their lives. Remember, when homes were selling in 3 days with 20 offers and buyers were waiving every condition imaginable, we're not there anymore. And honestly, that's a good thing. It creates a healthier market where buyers can make informed decisions instead of emotional ones. But here's where things start to get interesting, because this window of opportunity may not stay open forever. Let's talk about Oakville. Oakville continues to be one of the strongest and most desirable real estate markets in Ontario. Home prices remain among the highest in the province. What we're starting to see is stabilization. Inventory remains available, giving buyers options, but well-priced family homes in desirable school districts are still attracting strong interest and moving relatively quickly. One of the biggest trends I'm noticing is the return of the move-up buyers. These are homeowners who delayed upgrading during 2024 and 2025 because of uncertainty and higher borrowing costs. Many of them are beginning to re-enter the market, and if interest rates continue trending lower over the next year, Oakville could very easily be one of the first markets to experience strong appreciation. If you're shopping in Oakville right now, my advice is simple. Stop focusing solely on getting that absolute lowest price possible. Instead, focus on quality. Focus on school districts, focus on lot size, location, walkability, and long-term desirability. Because when markets recover, the best properties are usually the first to recover. Now let's move over to Burlington. Burlington continues to be one of the most balanced housing markets in the GTA. Prices have come down from their peak levels, creating opportunity for buyers, but the city continues attracting families because of its excellent schools, waterfront lifestyle, GO train access, and overall quality of life. What stands out to me about Burlington is that we're not seeing panic selling. Instead, we're seeing patience. Sellers who don't absolutely need to move are simply choosing to wait rather than aggressively cut prices. And that's an important distinction because it helps prevent the type of sharp price declines many people have been predicting. Burlington remains a highly desirable community, and that demand continues supporting the market even during the slower periods. Now let's talk about the market that may surprise you the most. Hamilton has been one of the hardest housing markets since the peak of the pandemic boom. Just a few years ago, buyers were flooding in from Toronto, competition was intense, and prices were climbing at a pace that seemed unstoppable. Fast forward to today, and we've seen a significant correction. But here's why Hamilton has my attention right now: affordability. Compared to Oakville, Burlington, and much of the GTA, Hamilton is starting to look attractive again. Buyers who were completely priced out a few years ago are beginning to revisit the market. Investors are beginning to revisit the market. First-time buyers are beginning to revisit the market. The question is no longer whether Hamilton is corrected. The real question is whether we're approaching the end of that correction. And that's something I'll be watching very closely over the next 6 to 12 months. Here's what I think of many headlines are getting wrong. Everyone is focused on prices. Every article, every social media post, every conversation seems to revolve around whether prices are going up or down. But I don't think that's the most important story. The real story is inventory. Inventory is no longer growing at the pace we saw throughout 2024 and early 2025. In many areas, we're actually seeing fewer new listings coming onto the market, and that's significant because Ontario's housing shortage didn't magically disappear. Builders have slowed construction, new projects have slowed, population growth continues, demand for housing continues. Those underlying fundamentals haven't changed. So, where do I think the market goes from here? Personally, I don't believe we're heading back to the insanity of 2021. The conditions that created that market simply don't exist anymore. But I also don't believe we're headed towards some catastrophic housing crash. What I think happens is much less dramatic. Sales activity gradually improves, available inventory slowly gets absorbed, prices stabilize, and over time, stronger communities begin seeing modest appreciation again. Not overnight, not explosively, but steadily. And honestly, that's probably the healthiest outcome possible for both buyers and sellers. So, here's my final takeaway. If you're waiting for a 30% crash before buying a home, you may be waiting a very long time. And if you're expecting prices to explode higher next year, that's probably unrealistic as well. The real opportunity in today's market is much simpler than that. You have choices. You have negotiating power, you can conduct inspections, you can include financing conditions, you can actually take your time and make smart decisions. Those opportunities don't exist during every market cycle. So whether you're buying in Oakville, Burlington, Hamilton, or anywhere else across Ontario, this summer may represent one of the best opportunities we've seen in years to make a thoughtful real estate decision. If you'd like help understanding what's happening specifically in your neighborhood or want to discuss your own buying or selling plans, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.